All right. Thank you so much. So, as I was saying, my name is Kabbalah. I am a member of the African Continental Unity Party. I'm also a member of the Free-Minded Pan-African Academy, as well as a member of the Ubuntu Solidarity Group, the three branches that are working to support the agenda of ACUP, which is all about rebuilding Africa as a global power base. So today we are on our second session of annual training organized by the Free-Minded Pan-African Academy, which is solely dedicated to leadership training. We are focused mostly on the political leadership as well as business leadership. We bring the two together because we consider that the two are just like the left and the right legs of a human being that has to keep every human being in balance. If you don't have a right leg or left leg, you can't be in balance. Therefore, if we don't have people who have been fully equipped with leadership skills on both areas in our country, our countries, we have exactly the results that we know of that we want to change. So we will begin by introducing ourselves. Just quickly, few seconds, you say where you are, and your name, maybe what you do, and then once we're done, we will kickstart with the program. So let me start. Actually, they must be able to define their own terms and define themselves and make other people accept their own definition. You define yourself and you make those definitions acceptable or accepted by other people. And that's same ability of you defining yourself, defining your own terms, is the very same ability that your oppressor must confiscate from you. It must take it away from you and impose on you his own definitions. So that's why we are talking in the African context. We are defining what freedom is in the context of Africa, because whatever that we do, we want to do, we think of doing, must always respond to our need of freedom and liberation, freedom and emancipation as African people. We don't just embrace things for the sake of embracing or because the Western society want us to embrace them. We embrace things when we know that this can help us to achieve our needs of freedom and emancipation as African people. So basically, the word freedom itself, it can mean a lot of things to different people, to a lot of people, but basically it simply means a travel, a move, or a shift from one point to another, right? So at this moment, what we are facing as African people is that we are facing colonialism that we call today neocolonialism, whereby we don't control our resources as African people. We don't control our destiny in most cases. And we live with the consequences of the decisions that have been made over our lives. Therefore, our struggle every day in this generation is to make sure that we move, we travel from this condition of subjection to the condition where we can begin to enjoy our freedom and our emancipation as African people. Please, can I remind everyone to keep your mic muted when you join to avoid interference? You may unmute yourself when you are about to talk. All right, perfect. So what I was saying is that we have a need to change the situation in Africa, to move from where we are today to a space where we can begin to enjoy the resources of Africa and enjoy the wealth of Africa and enjoy the freedom of, as a free people. And for that to happen, we need a different type of leadership that will allow us to get there. And most specifically, when we believe that as African people, we have a future, our task will be to prepare the people who will handle that future. King Jovenis, I've just made you a co-host. Would you please handle the background noise for those who have their mic unmuted. Sorry, just wanna. Okay, correct. So I was saying that we as African people at this moment, we have a need, which is a need for our freedom. And we need to have leaders who will be able to take us from where we are today to a place where we'll have to enjoy that freedom. That's the reason why we are dedicated in the training of the leadership, the training of Africans to produce new leaders, especially when we believe that we have a future. We therefore need to begin preparing for that future, or preparing for people who will take charge of that future. And therefore we are training, or we are involved and invested more in the creation of new leaders that will be able to handle Africa. What has been happening, or what has happened with this new colonial Africa, I mean the post-independence or post-colonialism Africa, is that the people who took charge of Africa, the people who fought for independence, who had the pure minds to liberate Africa, to develop Africa, to take Africa where it's supposed to be, in most cases, they were killed. And in most cases, they were Pan-Africanist. They were destroyed. You know about Nkrumah, you know about Lumumba, you know about Sankara, you know about a lot of them around the continent. And when these people were removed, they were then replaced with other puppet leaders who didn't have the needs of Africa in their hearts. Their agenda was just to please themselves and to please their associates in the Western countries. So that is the challenge.
And there's a small light here.
That's the challenge that we have been facing so far as African people. Therefore, what we need to do now is to begin creating a new leadership that will help Africa to finish this century successfully. Because if we make a mistake to miss out the opportunity of freedom in this 21st century, our kids will never gonna have we're never gonna know what to do in order to liberate themselves. They may have to go through another 400 years of slavery before they can taste what is called the freedom. So we are at the greatest moment, turning point in the history of humankind, where as African people we need to stand up and determine for ourselves where we want to go. And therefore we really need leadership skills, new type of leadership. So as I was saying, leadership simply means a shift, a travel, a move from one point to another point. And in this African context, it's about moving from neocolonialism, or the domination of neocolonialism, to our freedom. And for us to get there, we need leaders who are able to portray some values or some qualities away from the qualities that we are seeing today, the qualities that are really helping imperialism to sustain itself in Africa. So we need different values or different qualities that will eventually destroy the influence of imperialism and help our culture, our value systems, help us to really achieve our freedom. And the number one value system or quality of a good leader that we want in Africa, whether you are in Ghana, whether you are in the Congo, South Africa, Nigeria, Gambia, from wherever you are, as we have common problem of neocolonialism today, it simply means that we also need a collective or common patterns of leadership to take us out of this neocolonialism, right? And the first quality that we want, if you are an aspiring leader, if you want to becoming a leader tomorrow after tomorrow in your country, in your organization, or whatever, in whatever case that might be, the first quality that we want is of a good leader is that a good leader must be at the service of his people rather than putting his people to serve him. You see, for as I say, the majority of leaders that we have in Africa today that were put in place by the Western imperialism, what they do most is to utilize the people to serve them, not really to be at the service of the people. We see this every single day. We see this no matter where you are. You can be witness to this utilization of the African population for the comforts, for the for the life of the leaders, so that they can enjoy themselves at the expense of African people. So a good leadership is the one who is supposed to serve rather than put the people to serve him. So this requires a level or a sense of sacrifice on our side. You see, when you read a book, The Art of War by Sun Tzu, he said something very important. He said that he describes a mystical beast in his book, that mystical beast, which is dangerous, so that when you attack it, when you want to attack it from the head, it attacks you with its tail. And when you want to attack it from its tail, it attacks you with the head. And when you want to attack it in the middle, it will attack you back with both its head and its tail. So in either way, you must accept that you will face the consequences when you have to attack it, because it will bite you either with his head or with his tails. So it simply means that you cannot attempt to do something wonderful like rebuilding Africa without sacrificing something, without expecting to sacrifice something, without expecting to face some kind of challenges, some kind of consequences, right? So it has to happen. So when you put yourself in that position of leadership, what you need to put in your mind is that you are putting yourself there to serve your people rather than to use people to serve your interest. Because what we have seen in Africa today is that people want to be worshipped, people want to be seen, in the glorious places. People want to be, followed by the masses, but they are not ready to serve the masses. And that's the reason why you can have a person in your community who want to become a leader, who, for example, want to run for maybe parliamentarian position. Once you elect him, he has been living in a community all these years. Once you elect him, he starts getting the money. The first thing that he does is to move out of the community, to go and live in a community of the people of his standards, of the people of his class, of his new friends now, who have the money, who are honored, and who are worshipped by the masses. He leaves the community because the community is dirty, because the community, there's crimes in the community, or because the community is poor. So he moves in the suburb or nice places and expensive places. Yet you are the ones who have elected him. You are the ones who have given him the mandate and the power. So this has been that kind of leadership that use the people to serve themselves rather than serving the people. So what we want to see in Africa, truly, if we want Africa to change, we want the leaders who do not want to run away from their communities, leaders who are not dreaming about running away from their communities, because the only way you'll be able to solve the problems of your community is when you feel the effect of those problems on you as well. When you feel the effect of those problems on you, then with your power or your powerful position as a leader, you'll be then putting everything you can in order to solve those problems. The reason why our leaders today, when they get sick, they go to Europe to treat themselves. They go to America to treat themselves. It's simply because they are not inclined, or they are not in connection with the suffering of the masses. They don't realize what is going on in our communities, simply because they've detached themselves from the sufferings or from the reality of the community. Therefore, they are living in their dreams. Mostly they spend most of their times overseas or in the expensive mansions around the continent, the country. But yet when they were poor, they were coming to us to seek for elections. And unfortunately, you will see that during the time of elections, they're coming back to in our communities again to seek for our votes. So this is a type of leadership that we don't want. We want the leadership that's really serve the people. If you are a leader, you must understand your place is after everybody. If, let's say that the freedom that we are looking for is a door, you don't go first there at the door. Let your people go first through the door, and you must go the last. So you must always put in your mind that we are there to serve our people than to make our people the tools that we are using for us to attain what we want to achieve in our lives or in our personal interest. So that is very important. You can mark it down, and we'll hear from your feedback as we open the mic for interaction. So number 2, which is the good quality or the quality of good leadership that we want in Africa, is that leaders must have undying love for their people. You see, sometimes what can discourage you is exactly your own people for whom you are fighting. If you look in the history, you see that the very same people that our forefathers were fighting for are the ones who at some point were a source of discouragements. When you study the Haitian Revolution, you will see that after they destroyed all the plantations of the white enslavers, there was a need for the society to continue functioning. So Dessalines and Toussaint Louverture told the people, okay, now let's go back to the plantations. Let's go and grow, the products for us now, for ourselves. Because before we worked for the enslavers. Now it is an opportunity for us to work for ourselves. People refused. People thought, no, you are now acting like the slave master now. You want to send us back to the plantations, which are symbol of oppression. And there was a conflict now between the people and Toussaint Louverture. So this is to say that sometimes if you are not patient with your people, you may think that you are wasting your time for doing something for African people. So what is required here for the good leadership in Africa is what we call undying love for your people. And this word was used by Kwame Ture. He said we must develop undying love for African people. In most cases, African people are the first people that will fight you. But at the same time, they are the best allies that you can have in this struggle for liberation and emancipation. You must understand that no white person will be a good ally for the struggle of African liberation and emancipation. White person can join you to help you achieve certain things, but he is pleased for you to be under him. He is pleased for you to be subject of him, of his superiority or supremacy. He would never want you to be equal to him in most cases. That is the general psychology of white society. So the best ally that you can have in this struggle is the same person who is the person who go through the same struggle or the same suffering like you, who is your fellow African person. But unfortunately, as I said, you may face challenges starting from Africans themselves. They can treat you in a way that is xenophobic. They can treat you in a way that is discriminatory. They can treat you in a way that is tribalistic. They can discriminate you. They can insult you. But if we don't have what we call undying love for our people, if we don't develop what we call undying love for our people, we won't be able to achieve the goals that we have set for ourselves as leaders. So we'll get tired of our people, we'll be impatient with our people, and then we will sometimes even align with our enemies to destroy our own people, right? You must understand that at some point, people thought that Lumumba was wrong. And today we are beginning to see that Lumumba was right. At some point, people thought Nkrumah was wrong. Today we are beginning to see that Nkrumah was right. So don't be discouraged for the people who criticize you, for the people who criticize Pan-Africanism, for people who think we will not succeed. We must develop undying love for our people. We can go deep into this, but I'm just brushing. We'll maybe discuss further as we open the mic, but I'm just touching the points that we believe that in the context of Africa, the leadership that we want for this 21st century, these things are very important. These qualities are very important. First of all, you must be there to serve, not to be served, right? And secondly, you must develop what we call the undying love for our people as African people. Now, number three, which is a good quality for leaders that we want in Africa, is that at the moment that you jump in the position of leadership, you must begin at the same time to think about the day that you will leave your leadership positions. It means that if you are appointed today in the leadership role, you definitely and directly need to begin thinking about the day that you leave that position. What does it mean? It means a good leader must be able to prepare the time after him. It means you should be able to have a person that you are training, a person that you are a mentor to, a person that you are preparing to take charge when you are no longer there. Can you imagine that you have a situation where somebody has been in power for more than 45 years in Cameroon, Paul Biya? No matter how good you are, you cannot stay in power for 45 or 46 years. It means you are undermining the wisdom of the rest of the people. You believe that there cannot be anybody else who can do better than you, right? So there are people in Cameroon who were born, who had children while Paul Biya was in power. Unfortunately, since the life expectancy in Africa is about 45 years in many countries, there are people who were born, who grew up and who died, and Paul Biya is still the president. This is unacceptable. Even if you are the most intelligent, wisdom itself tells you that if you are wise enough, if that wisdom will tell you that you are not there to live forever. We die. So what have you done to prepare that when you die, you are dead, the struggle will continue. The vision will not gonna die. The vision will continue to live through other people. So you need to be able to prepare other people. I read a book about, written by an American author, African American author called Fuller Jr. In his book, he argued that in other nations, the passing of information is easily done. Why? Right? When people discover information, they automatically begin to look to whom can I pass this information on to? Who can I train so that this information, the knowledge that I've got, should not die with me, but it can continue living through other people. But when it comes to African people, we don't deliberately, willingly, intentionally train other people, especially the younger generation, so that they can take charge. We don't do that. He used those words. He used the word deliberately, intentionally, and he used the three words: deliberately, intentionally, and the other word I forgot. So other people, when you talk about Europeans, they are deliberately, intentionally pass on information to other people to prepare them to take over. But when it comes to Africa, we don't do that. When you learn something, when you have a knowledge, you don't want to pass that knowledge to other people because you think if you make other people know what you know, you become irrelevant for those people. So you always need to keep that knowledge for yourself so that people can run to you, people can come to you so that they can look at you as a special because you have the knowledge which they don't have. And this is what's killing Africa. That's why I said before that leaders should be there to serve, not to make people their servants. You know, in most cases, leaders in Africa, where they talk about business, where they talk about political, leadership, they don't want to pass on the knowledge to other people because they want all those people to stay in darkness and to look onto them as the only ones who have solutions, who have the knowledge, and who have a word to say. And this mindset, this egoism itself, this selfishness makes impossible the progress of Africa that we all want. It makes impossible the progress of Africa that we all want, right? Every human being should be able to extend himself into other people by transferring what he knows, the secrets that has made him successful, onto other people. In Africa, we have a situation whereby if somebody discovered an opportunity to make money, he doesn't want to pass it on to other people, even if he doesn't have the means to exploit that opportunity by himself. Just passing on information, you can change somebody's life. Just passing on the knowledge, you can change somebody's life. You see, some of the things that we are doing today, we have learned them like 5 or 10 years before. Somebody just taught you something, and then it was like useless at that time because you don't know. You didn't know whether you needed it, you wanted it or not. Sorry. But after 5 years, when you begin to realize that that person was your lifesaver, he taught you something that you had to use 5 years later. So we need to be willing to leave a space for other people to step on, also to show what they can. Because one thing that we have to understand is that Africa is diverse. Africa is very diverse. In the Congo, where I'm born, we're talking about 800 languages in that country. You can imagine how diverse that country is. 800 languages. So it is impossible for the creator or for the ancestors to inspire you alone the solution or the complete blueprints for African liberation and emancipation. It is impossible. So the blueprints for the African liberation and emancipation that we want will come into bits and pieces. It will come as a puzzles, where every people or every mind will bring its piece of puzzles, and we bring those puzzles together or those pieces together, and we have a complete picture or complete blueprint of African liberation and emancipation. So we must also allow other people to express themselves. It's very important. So a good leader in Africa should be able to prepare other people to take over when his time is over. So the Africa that we want from now is SCUP is going to take over, to take power in Africa. We wouldn't want to see a situation whereby one person stays in power for 2 decades. In Rwanda, you're talking about almost 30 years now. In Uganda, Museveni has been there, I don't know, for 40 years, right? In Congo, Brazzaville, talking about 37 years. In Cameroon, I think in Guinea, Theodora Obiang has been there for, I don't know how many, 40 years or something like that. So this is not acceptable. This is not acceptable. So we need a new type of leadership. So whether in business or in politics, these are the values that we want if we really care for Africa and for our future. If we want to see Africa that is transformed, Africa that is changed, this is what we want. Now, we talked about the good qualities of leadership. Now, I'm going to end with who can be then the leader in Africa? Who is supposed to be the leader in Africa? And the answer is simple. From where we are standing, and we will hear from you. Everyone is a potential leader. That is the answer. So as you are there, you are a potential leader. I'm a potential leader. Everybody's a potential leader. It doesn't matter where you are in the government or where you are an executive of a large business, a large firm. No, everybody is a potential leader. I'm going to tell you why. Every one of us here is part of a family. And importantly, every one of us will be in charge of a family, right? And it is known, it is a known fact that a family is a society in its microscopic scale. Should I say a family is a society in its microscopic scale, right? So other people will say that the society is a projection, the lifestyle in a society or the reality of an entire society is a projection of the values of each family that composes that society. Because society is not just there in emptiness. A society is made up of families. All our families together become the society in which we live. So if we don't begin to demonstrate or to portray these qualities of leadership in our family, then it we won't be able to change the society. So you don't have to think that the people who are supposed to portray these values are only those in the leadership position. No, even yourself, in your family, right? You can begin to portray these values, because the more we are portraying these values, we are building strong society without knowing it. We are building strong society without knowing it. So you are a potential leader. I'm a potential leader. That's why in the ACUP, our motto or our philosophy is that there's no leader. The vision is the leader. There's no an individual leader that will come and serve us. The vision is the leader, right? So that is to say that we all, as African people, we must collectively begin to understand our situation and how it's affecting us, so that we can know whatever that the leader is supposed to know. So whoever that we want to lead us as a president, whatever he knows in terms of the leadership, in terms of qualities of leadership, we must be equally able to know it and to portray it. One of the difficulties that has put us in this protracted suffering since the time of the so-called independence in Africa is that we have relied so much on individual leaders to come and save us, to come and transform us. I don't know by what magic or by what power, which we don't have as African people, as the masses. And our reliance on those people and our acquiescence of their bad behavior has led us into the precarity in which we are today. So it is time to begin to change or revolutionize our mind to understand that there's no one single person that will come and serve us. Africa will be served through our collective effort as African people. So we can go deep into this, but I've just brushed there, and I'm hoping you know exactly where this topic will lead to. Now, all of us, are potentially leaders. Now, what we have to do, whether in terms of political leadership or business leadership, we need to begin organizing ourselves. We need to begin organizing ourselves in our communities to find the solutions that we want when it comes to our economic situation, and to find the solutions that we want when it comes to our political situation. It's very important. What I'm trying to say is that every leader is effective as much as the people behind him are effective. Even if you put Jesus Christ, right? Let's put that example. Even if you take Jesus Christ or Muhammad, you put him today behind people who are lazy, people who are ignorant, people who are disinterested on their future. Jesus will never do anything, or Muhammad cannot do anything. He will be not effective in whatever that he's supposed to do. And the people will turn back on him and will think that he is maybe an enslaver, he is maybe a dictator. People will stone him, right? The same way that our forefathers were accused by the masses of Africans. So for a leader to be effective, he must be standing in front of a people that is also effective, a people that is informed, and people that is committed and engaged in the struggle of their cause, in the same struggle that the leader is fighting for. So this is to say that the time of waiting for 5 years to go to election and elect a leader that we believe that will solve our problems, that time is over. It is time now that we must understand that we are potential leaders, right? From our families, we are potential leaders. And from the way we organize our society, the way that we organize our communities, our societies, social organizations that we form, we are potential leaders, and we have a big role to play for the change that we want in Africa. And from the moment that we organize ourselves, we structure ourselves correctly, then the leader will be effective. The leader will be powerful. The leader will do the great job. But if we are not organized, if we are not committed, if we don't even understand what we are supposed to do or what is happening in the world today or in Africa, the leader won't do anything. That is why I think Mohammed Karim, if I'm right, who said that leading a people who are ignorant or sacrificing yourself for people who are ignorant is like self-immolating yourself on fire to light a way for a people who are blind. And that's the reason why we have had greatest minds in Africa, Kwame Nkrumah, Patrice Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, a superior wisdom. But the efforts up until today seem to not be effective, seem to have not really produced the results for which they've died for, simply because the masses of African people is really, should I say, dormant or not engaged in the struggle for their own liberation and emancipation. So this is a time that we need to stand up as African people. We shouldn't expect much from leaders if we are not putting much to get the job done, right? So we need to stand up and organize ourselves. When it comes to business leadership, we must begin to look in our communities, the problems, the challenges that are there as opportunities, because that is the same thing that Chinese do. When a Chinese person comes from China and comes to Africa, he doesn't have an idea of what I'm going to do to Africa. He doesn't know Africa. So when he comes to your community, he sees the difficulties that you have in your community. He sees, okay, in this community, there's no, they don't make their own bread. In this community, they don't produce their own food. In this community, they are suffering from this and this. He turns those sufferings into opportunities, right? And he goes to the Chinese bank and get him money. It comes and then he opens shops there or supermarkets, and he started to rip off, Africans of the little which they have and send that money to China. Simply because we look too much into our problems, but we don't look into other side of the problem, because every problem always corresponds with a solution. There cannot be problem without solution. Otherwise, if there's a problem without solution in the world, which means there's no problem. Another person said, if there's no solution, that means there's no problem. So every time we see predicament in our community, we must think about what can be the solution to that problem, because the same community that you think is poor, you will see a Chinese person coming from China poor in that same community, open a shop there, and then after 1 year or 5 years, is a millionaire. But that community we think is a poor. So we must change our mindset in our communities to begin looking at ourselves as the true investors of our own community. I know that the funds, the investment is a problem in Africa, but we can organize ourselves. We always say this parable at Ubuntu Solidarity Group, where we are calling upon investors to invest in Africa. We always say that $100, for example, in my hand, is just $100. It can last for, I don't know, 1 hour. The time that I go buy food, buy clothes is finished. But this $100, if you put it in the hands, if it comes in the hands of 1,000 people and you put it together, it's already a huge fund to invest, right? When you see in our communities, even though we say we are poor, we consume alcohol, we consume cigarettes, we consume expensive shoes, all this stuff. So we have to change our mind in this platform to look at our communities and to begin thinking of the solutions that we can bring in our communities to change the reality of our people. So I've briefly touched on political leadership, the good qualities that we want, and who are the true leaders in our communities, which is ourselves as African people. And I've touched also briefly on the business leadership, how we should think or change our mind and to look into our community differently. And we hope, with the help and assistance of all of you African people, will be able to bring these topics, this training, in a more depth manner, so that our people can really well trained and they can go out there as agents of transformation for the African society. We can do it, but we need the support of each one of you in any way you can support, with the skills, with the tools that can help us to reach out to many people, to train our women, so that we can create entrepreneurs in Africa who are not capitalist, but entrepreneurs in Africa who have Ubuntu as their philosophies, who do not want to succeed alone, but we want to succeed collectively as African people. Because if we don't have collective goals again, I mean, anymore, then we don't have a sense of society. We don't have civilization. We'll become a barbarian entity. So thank you very much. I'm going to end here to allow, to give a space to all of us to bring our comment, our suggestion, our recommendation, our, I don't know, whatever comment that you want to make about what we've discussed today.
7 GMT.
Addition that you want to make is more than welcome. So please don't feel shy. Come up and then tell us what you think about it. So I'm going to end for this particular topic, and I will open the mic to everyone who has something to say, to eventually come on board, come on stage and tell us what you have in mind. So thank you very much.
Sorry, Kabbalah. Did you make someone the co-host so that they can help to put some people on pause because they interrupt sometimes, you know?
For sure, indeed. I did put King Jovanis.
I'm working on it too over
his
here.
His mic is maybe his network is stripped. By the way, I'm done. I will do that myself. But thank you very much for the time. The mic is open now. Should you want to speak, you can maybe just raise your hand, and then call you on stage to hear from you. Thank you very much.
I think since my mic is already up, so
please go ahead.
Yeah. So thank you very much for the good presentation. I think 2 days ago I was listening to P.L.A. Lumumba, and he said something that was really, really important. He was talking about tribalism. You understand? He said the statement, I think people did not understand him. He said this: for the new Africa, for the new African nation to survive and strive, tribalism must die. Okay, that's the word it means. But after he began to say, I'm not saying I'm against tribe. I'm not saying that your tribe, you should get away from your tribe. But what he was trying to say, your tribe should not be the reason why your country cannot progress. Your tribe should not be the reason that you're looking at some other one as being less. You understand? He said you can keep your tribe like all these tribes. We can bring what we have now. Each individual tribe is unique in its own way, so we can bring all of these differences from different various tribes and create a powerful nation state. And that sung right into my head, and I think it's a message that we should be able to carry along with us and share, because we will all agree tribalism is a big hindrance to Africa. You know, it's one of those cankerworm that actually stops us from uniting. So I just wanted to see that as a side note. So talking about leadership, yeah, as you said, we are the leaders. You know, when I listen to Africans, they complain, oh, our leaders are going to France, our leaders are doing that, our leaders. I ask them, who are the leaders? These leaders are just people like you and me. They are doing that because you don't want to take the space that they are occupying. If you can say, okay, I can do this better than this man, you need to step in. And thank God we've got something like the ACUP that can rally people together and to create this kind of a collective that we can work together. You know, so politics, you know, is the way to go. You know, politics is the way to go. We need to breed our new leaders. You understand? And we, the youth, need to be actively involved in politics. There's no way around it. You know, there's no way around it. You can be the most you can be a businessman, you know, as big as you are, but if you don't have that influence, if you don't have the politics behind you, if you can actually make laws to protect your country, like from dumping, from foreign import, you can still be successful. So at the bottom of everything, the politics is what we need, and we, the youth, are the only ones to make that change. There's no magic. There's no special person that can do that thing for us. So we should take it as our own personal defeat, that we should be the ones to beat those politicians. And thank God, maybe we're fed up with some political parties in our countries. We're not We don't trust them. So now we have this platform to form our own. Let's form our own and show people that we can do this better and take it to our heart and like actually going to solve the problems in our various communities.
Thank you very much, my king. You have well said, wonderfully said there. You know, well, what you said is correctly true, that we should be involved in the politics of our liberation. And if we don't do that, then we must enjoy the politics of our oppression. So political means is the way to go, because that is the way we will be able to draft the policies that will govern our society in a different way from what we are experiencing every day. The reason why we are the victims is because we don't want to be involved in the politics of of our nations, while the politics is the one that define what you eat, how you eat, what kind of food is brought in your country, sometimes junk food or plastic food, and we suffer from those things simply because we don't want to get involved. So what you're saying is true. We are the leaders, and let us get involved. And should you want to participate, even more, we invite you in the Free Minded. So because together we'll be able to do this even much better than we are all contributing. There's nobody who knows it all. We are all bringing the little, to influence and to impact the lives of our people. So thank you very much. Who's next?
Nkabala, just a quick question, if you don't mind.
Please go ahead.
Is there anyone here who have another way to take Africa, to seize power in Africa? Because maybe going into the offices may not be the right way. Going into parliament to change the laws may not be the right way. So if there's anyone who have another idea, another way forward in terms of taking power in Africa, please let us hear your view. We're all here to learn, because, some people might say that if you become a politician, you are going to be on the other side. So I just want to say, if there's anyone, please feel free to speak up. Let us hear what view you have in terms of how to liberate ourselves. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, King Kwame. The question is open anyway. Who else has something to say? Easy, please go ahead, my king.
All right. Thank you so much, my wonderful kings and lions and lioness in the meeting today. Yes, I must acknowledge that this is an incredible topic. I don't know if it's a seminar or it's a meeting, or I don't know, but I believe that is a positive step for the way forward. Instead of we being out there joining the masses, the other of our brothers and sisters complaining about capitalism and the rest of the African questions, but we decide, to make a step and forge towards the solution. I believe is a nice. I appreciate this initiative, and I also will that we, for any reason, that we don't hold back and we don't stop. We keep on doing what we have to do, because the unity of Africa is not. It has gotten beyond the level of thinking, or how do I put it? I don't know the right word to use, that you just feel that maybe it will happen or maybe it will not happen. The unity of Africa is sure as I don't know, but I just have a quick question, because I always when I look at things, I feel that majority of the African they are lacking something very important, and that is information. And I understand the power of information. Well, yes, sorry, I should have introduced myself. Yeah, I'm King Raymond Israel Ete from West Africa, Nigeria. I'm a member of UMA, And yes, that is what the least I can say for now. So, like I said, I believe that information is one of the most powerful tool that we have right now against the unity of Africa, because when I look at it, that the average, most of the youth out there, they find it difficult to read. That is why when you put whatever you have on a book or on a website or whatever, they find it difficult, to spend their little time to go through that, especially when the document happens to be about a couple of pages, they feel very discouraged. And then if you make it a video, if it's not a naked video or a nude video or a funny video, funny skit, they find it difficult to spend their time to do that, to learn from these things. So I'm looking at it that how do we piece this youth off? Because how we really need to penetrate on them. We really need strategies to piece these people off, because by the time we start offloading, we offload all these informations that they are not aware of on them. It will be a complete piece off, and that is when we will have our revolution. So what is the strategy? Because I myself have also been asking myself, is something that I've been trying really hard to do. Whenever I hear informations, I first look at the capacity. Whenever I look at I see sensitive informations like this, I look at the capacity of the attendants, and then I wish we were about 300, 400, 500 of us on that platform, hearing and listening to such information. So my question is, how do we strategize? In what other form do we think we can let this information to get across to the youth, that most of our youth at least will get educated and understand what is at stake? Thank you.
Thank you very much, my king, for your question. Before I attach on that, just want to say I've put my number on the chat platform. So should you want to get in touch so that we can discuss further about Freemind or ACUP, please kindly do so. I'm on WhatsApp on that number. So I would call up on, I don't know if there's anybody among us, King Giovannis or King Quado, King Kwame, who can attend to the question.
Yeah, let me come in here. That's a very good question.
Yeah.
How do we strategize to get the youth involved? One, there are several ways we can do it. One of the problems we are facing in Africa is electricity or radio. Like, for instance, we have different villages in Africa where people do not know about Zoom. They care about their daily bread, food, clothing, and shelter. So Zoom and all this communication is not a luxury to them. It is, they have the necessary things they're worried about. So how can we get these people involved? We have to start from the basics. You have to understand that some of us are trendsetters. We are leaders. We are the ones who lead, and people will follow wherever you go. So certain things have to be in place. One of them is commitment. There are 26, maybe 20 of us here right now. If we can commit ourselves, okay, to have a set of a platform or a group, because Africa is big, okay, so we can commit ourselves to meet regularly. I don't know how we can do it, but we can organize ourselves where we can meet regularly and discuss certain things. A gentleman I was watching, he just discovered electricity from a rock. I don't know if you guys see the video. All these things we can begin to facilitate little by little, how we can contact him wherever state he is in Nigeria, because Nigeria has so much talent. I don't know who you people are. You people, you are just different from the rest of us. But yeah, somebody needs to contact these people, because somebody like that who can generate electricity from a rock, if we can contact you and get to you, we can see how we can facilitate things to make it happen. So what am I saying? Somebody has to be willing to say, okay, I'm going to investigate and find out who this person is and get in touch with him. Bring him to us. Let us see what we can do to make things worthwhile in his village, wherever he's at. With little by little, we can do a big thing. So if we don't have the connections, because information is all about connections, if we don't have the connections to bridge the gap, that is where I think we have to start. We have to start from the bottom. So that is one way, because if we have electricity in that village, we can definitely have construction, we can have businesses, we can have different things. We can develop that. We can implement that same strategy in other villages in Africa, other towns, other countries. So we have to start somewhere, and somebody has to start it. Jesus is not going to, he's busy in heaven. He's not going to come down to do it, and Mohammed as well. So we have been given the hands, feet, eyes, nose, everything we need to do to fix our problem. So let us begin to see how we can put our little ideas together to come up with something that can work in Africa. Because if we don't do it, if we are waiting on this president, it will not be done. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much, King Kwame, for your answer. Wonderfully stated. I don't know if there's anybody else who want to complete the answer that was to the question that was asked regarding what is the strategy to get the learning to the majority of African people.
Yeah, let me just chip in a little. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. Who is going?
Okay, so I just wanted to chip in a little with what King Kwame said.
Yes.
I think he said one word: commitment. Okay, commitment is the key. If we are committed, we are over here, we might have some advantage, access to the internet. If we who are here, we are committed, we come always on the meeting, we talk. New ideas may pop in. I might have an idea that I might think that might be the ultimate goal, but when I talk to other people, I might have an alternative view that's going to be better. Let's be committed first. Let's create this base so that we can have ideas to share. We have different ideas, but let's share them. Okay, we have different African terrains. They're different. What might work in one country, the kind of mobilization that might work in one country might not work in another country. So let's be committed first. Let's come together and share this idea. Then we can have a plan for each individual country, how we can mobilize the people. It might be different. It might be easier in some other countries. It might be more difficult. So we just need to be committed and share information. Then we move forward.
Thank you very much, my king. Commitment is the way to go. Thank you very much. That's wonderful. So let me go now to Henson. Somebody want to say something?
Yeah.
No.
Go ahead. All right. This is Amadou Touré, Gambian, a proud Gambian, a proud African, a proud West African, a proud Mandinka, a proud everything that you can think about of Africa. I feel very passionate about Africa. And I must thank you all, especially King Kabbalah, for taking your time to provide these lessons for us every now and again. I'm driving, unfortunately, but I have something very quick that I wanted to say before the meeting comes to an end. And that is, I believe, as we are talking about how do we get to the grassroots, I believe every one of us come from a community. It doesn't matter whether you live in Accra. You'll have your background from somewhere in the villages. And in those villages, if we have any connection there, we will know there is a particular person that everybody respects. There is a particular person that everybody trusts. There is a particular person who, when he say this, nobody say anything else. I think at the minute we have to go back to those kind of people and get them informed, get them on board, teach them everything about what SUP is about, until you convince them. Once you convince them, you convince the whole village. And then it could be a youth leader, it could be an elderly person, it could be a chief, it could be a traditional ruler, it could be anybody. It could be a human, even girls, girls group leader, because in every society you have people who are natural born leaders, and people tend to rally behind them everywhere they go. So I believe these are the people that we should target, and from the very, very grassroots, from the villages, the hamlets, We find time to go back there. Either you go there for holidays, you go there for a weekend. You utilize that period of time. If you can't go there, you have communication by WhatsApp or whatever means of communication you have. Utilize it. Get in touch with those kind of people. And we try to, every society if you have a youth leader among boys and girls and elderly people, council of elders, you have somebody influential. You teach them. We take your time, very simple languages, and teach them in our own way, something that, in a way that he or she can understand. Once we get those people, once they accept our ideas, that village, you get that one. And we can use him as a vehicle to transmit information to them. So if we started from there, and then we gradually come over. By the time we reach the city, we will be in a position to stand up and say something, and everybody will listen. It's not a very easy thing to do, but I think it's one of the best ways to do it, and it might be one of the most effective ways. Yeah, because I was listening to King Kabbalah when he was talking about the disconnect between the politician, our rulers, our leaders, and the common man. To the extent that if they are going through something and you want to talk to them about, they see you as an outsider. You don't understand what they are going through, so they don't listen to you. But if you could, I give you an example. Somebody I know, a politician, PDOIS, one of the founding fathers, called Sidia Jatta in Gambia. I live in his province for about 2.5 years. And in that place, every time there is the parliament closes, he goes and spends the whole period with them, from one village to another, And we have this village group called Bantaba. In the middle of the village, you have a big tree. One of the big tree, they sit down, they have this platform, they sit down on it with the elderly people. And he talks to them continually. In fact, he was using his salary to prepare adult literacy for them so that they can read and write in their own languages, different tribes. By the time I went there, a small 3-year-old primary 3-year-old boys and girls, when they talk to you about Gambian politics, you think it's Sidia Jatta standing in front of you talking. You see, I bucket woman, when she speaks to you, you think Sidia Jatta is talking. He was able to inculcate his ideas into them in their everyday life, to the extent that he ruled over that place for so many times, until when we have this Yahya Jammeh, towards the end of Yahya Jammeh's era, when he started manipulating people. When they don't want to win, you can win, basically by way of power, to get the vote out of him. But he managed to change the psyche of the people. Their political maturity is beyond an average Gambian. It don't matter whether it's a girl, a boy, an elderly woman, a village woman who all that he knows is just had cattle or sheep or goats, and then farm and then come back home. But when they talk to you about,
let me land you plane. And when we come in, let us get to the point, because a lot of people want to talk. So let us get to the point. You made a very good point about Bantaba. Yeah. I myself, I used to live in Gambia. Bantaba means a gathering. I understand what you are talking. So that is good. But also there are people here who are going to say, well, in order for me to do this, where is the money? This is a calling. This is for people who want to save their continent. So if you are looking at it from a money standpoint, that is one big issue. Imagine this meeting, people are sacrificing to make it happen. So we are at least trying to come together, all of us. So if we are putting money, before this work, we already failed. So let us all keep that in mind. I just want to say that. Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Am I permitted to speak?
Yes, my king, your hand is up. After you will go to Ethiopia, and after Ethiopia, go to Handsome. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. This is Ngo Patrick from Cameroon. Yes. From observation, when we look around the world, we realized that what? 60% of the youth, they make up the entire population. But when you look around, major youth are not involved in politics. When you check very well, decisions are taken. They can tell you youth get into agriculture, but the youth are not the one deciding, which means that decisions that are taken, they are actually against the youth. There is a suggestion I want to make, coupled with the questions that was the question that was asked. We should strive to see that what youth get involved in all aspects. I was so happy with the training yesterday a young man organized to train some of our politicians around on preventing electoral violence, which possibly we understand that Cameroon will be holding election 2025. He made mention of something that I was so happy: youth involvement in all aspects, which means that when you get into a country, how do you draw the youth so that they become some of those people who make decisions among that happen to them? Because we realize that what most youths are being used by politicians to rather carry out a lot of negative things. But I was made to understand that youths are not the problem, they are the solution, which means that we need to sensitize ourselves wheresoever we find ourselves. I think the issue is not even standing first to be talking ACUP. We should have some little sensitization that we can, first of all, start educating, creating of platforms whereby we can stand to educate the African youth to come back to their consciousness, because we have been used a lot. Understand that for you to get into something, if you don't bribe, you cannot get there. But when youth start taking the opportunity, getting into politics, learning, seeing how they can take over tomorrow, because you cannot just sit on a single spot thinking that tomorrow I'm going to take over without understanding how the administration works, how the politics works. So with my own suggestion, I'm thinking that how can we do in order to carry, like the question I have, how can we do in order to carry our messages across? Then I'm equally giving an answer. Platforms, I don't know, platforms for youth that can help to educate the youth across. Thank you. I will certainly come back. Thank you.
Thank you very much, brother. If I may, that is a very good question. I think we can discuss ideas here, how to get the youth involved. Because again, I'm going to reiterate, like I said earlier, it involves money. And we understand that things are hard in Africa. Let me say this about African politicians. Most, not all, most of our politicians currently are Freemasons. I'm going to go there. These people are Freemasons. What that means is, in Freemasonry, there is a ladder structure, like a pyramid structure. You start from the bottom, from the first day. These are things that are in books, because some of the secrets are out in the books. So I'm not just talking out of my head. From the first day, you start from the bottom, they blindfold you, they tie you up, they do things to you. God knows if it is recorded or not. So when you have been through these processes, these are your leaders, okay? When you have been through these shrines and processes, and now you are leading your people, your hands are tied. You will have
let me use your headset.
I'm sorry?
Please.
I'm sorry?
I saw something here. I don't know whether it's from your headset. It's from something.
Okay, so your hands are tied. So it becomes
just
hello. I think I need to mute someone. That's another thing about Africans and discipline. It's like we are not disciplined. We just We're not ready. We just do what we want. You know, it's like the real world does not work like this. We have to be ready to take our continent if we want to, like certain things we don't need to tell each other. We have to be ready and prepared. This is serious business. Lives are at stake. Africans need to wake up. You need to wake up. Anyway, King Kabbalah, I hand it over back to you. Peace and blessings.
All right, thank you very much, my king. Regarding the previous question, we can continue with the strategies. Put my phone number down on the chat. So should you wish for us to contact me to get in touch and discuss further, please do so. Let me jump quickly to Utopia. Utopia, your hand is up. Please go ahead. The mic is yours.
Greetings, kings and queens. I'm Utopia from Zimbabwe. Unfortunately, I came in a bit late. I was engaged elsewhere. But I just wanted to say, I think the two things that I got to know when I came to know about ACAP, it was about education. That's the first and foremost. Then we go on to economy. Those are the two things that I would just want to say a little bit on. Our education system, as you were saying, Kabbalah, I remember when you were delivering the first few lectures that we had sometime last year. Was it last year or last year? But one I can't remember very well. Our education, if we can take it back to our Africanness, the Ubuntu values, I think that way we'll be able to get somewhere. Why am I saying Ubuntu? Because my age group, we failed you as our sons, but we are now saying to you, now that you have realized that you are in chains because of us, the step that you need to now take is to ground your children in good value systems that embraces our Africanness. And it's only this way that we can bring in the education right from the grassroots. Then they will be growing up with it, with the good values that when they eventually get into politics, with those good values, they won't go out of the way. I'm not saying there won't be rogue elements. They may be rogue elements, but if they get the good value system right from childhood, then they will continue like that. Because there is no way you take a child who was a thief, you put him in a high position and you expect them to deliver anything to the people. There's nothing like that. Then I quickly jump on to economy. Economy, this is something that we need to really think about and sacrifice, like the previous speaker was saying. It's not about being given money to do something, but it's us finding something to do with the resources that we have and come out with something, rather than to go for microwave solutions where we want someone to give us $1 million and then we start running with something. That kind of a business doesn't take us anywhere. We need to come from the grassroots. Like right now, I'm in this organization. It's a global thing. We are introducing one currency into Africa. And we are building structures. We are building structures right to the grassroots. And we are saying, when we are done with these structures, right to cell level, where one will be heading about 50 people. If you are heading 50 people, then you are able to be conversing with each and every one of them at that level. This is where then we are talking about that education. If this system is fully embraced throughout Africa, then we know this is the system that we will talk about when we are saying we want to give education to our children. We want to give them ideas of how they do business as Africans, because we used to live in communities before this was dismantled and they were building their countries when they wanted to do whatever they wanted to do. I'm talking of the Westerners. But if we go down with our Africanness, because we used to live as clans, and it will be communal, and we are together. And I'm saying, if we can go back to that and throw away this individualism, because this has now been used as a weapon to divide us and rule us. I think, let me end there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Queen. I do remember you 100%, and your insights are always valuable. I look forward to work with you on this job of reconstruction and rebuilding of Africa. Thank you very much. I've got Henson. Henson, your hand has been up for long. Please, after Henson, we go to Wangari. Henson, please come on board. Tell us what you have in mind.
Thanks so much. I'm happy because I'm on the line. To my side, it's just a concern because as Africa is a home of secret societies. So to work as a team is another challenge because others, they are working for money. They don't working for Africans. So we need to have a strategy whereby we need to confuse those secret societies, what we call parties, whatever. What we need is to end up with democracy. We don't want democracy anymore. We need to have a strategy. Once we identify a good leader, that good leader should continue and stand with Africans without looking others. Once, for example, we had Zimbabwe. They have gone through sanctions now and again. And now, as we are talking, they are only campaigning. Why campaigning? The president should still be there. No any campaign. While he dies, we choose another one. So that rule, we can change Africans because our leaders that are there has a temporary post. So they are working as a business because they are members of secret societies. Once we pardon them from their altars, they can come back in their sense and support Africans. But we Africans, we support the system bought by Americans. Karl Marx in Germany wrote communist, wrote capitalist. So we have a lot of news about those things. But in Africans, we believe in kings. As all the time we address like kings and queens. So let us make our leaders that are present today to be kings. So once they become kings, they will come back in their sense. They will learn that this generation need to have their stand. Africans to suffer, it's not a story. We do suffer. So suffering to us is part of achievement. So either we can die or not, but we need to see right. So for us to have good stand is where we should support and abolish the system that we're using. No more democracy. For example, South Africa is doing fine with Ramaphosa. So we need to tell those who are fighting that, leave Ramaphosa. He's doing fine. He's chasing West, should be there until his death. Leave the president of Yoweri Museveni. He's doing fine. So in that way, we can stand rather than following principles of Western ideas. They are funding secret society to bring confusion now and again. That's why people here, they are saying, give us money, give us money, give us money, because they want to make this SCUP as a secret society so they can go and fight for their interest and get money and whatever. So we need to have to make ourselves build out from those ideas. So this is what I want to share. When we're living with Ubuntu teachings, where I say, if it's for me, we need to share. So this is what I want to share, because I can talk a lot, but people are waiting on the right. Thanks so much.
King Henson, thank you very much, my king. That was wonderful. We don't need democracy. I like that. Of course, you're right. So let's go to Wangari. Wangari, please unmute yourself. Tell us what you have in mind.
Hold on. Wow. Sorry.
Wangari, I don't know if you'll be able to hear.
Yeah, yes. Sorry, I was using my phone.
Oh, okay, please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. I greet everybody in this forum. I'm Wangari from Kenya. Thank you, our guest, for the good presentation. It is very educative and awakening for those who are focused on the.
I'm good, man. How's the family? Everybody okay? Nice one. Thank you. I see you later, yeah? Thank you.
Hey, some people are talking in the background.
Oh, sorry. I just put on my thingy. I've just joined you now again. Sorry.
Okay,
I didn't know my mic is on. Sorry.
Mute your. So I was saying thank you for the good presentation, which is very educative and awakening for those who are focused on the unity of Africa. I want to comment something on what King Kwame said concerning Illuminati. When people do not know the foundation of whatever is raid, when you are joining a certain group, if you don't know the regulations and the rules, it will always be a confusing team you are joining. And it is very good to know the history of anything before you join. For example, for in our leadership, our people do not know how the colonialists managed the leaders. For one, let me give an example of our country, Kenya. And this one, it is not many people are aware of this, especially those who are born after 60s. Many, they are just seeing politicians, they have money, they have that, but there is that which was set aside from the word go. When these colonialists came into our land, they first of all they found we were very spiritual, and due to our spirituality, we had a lot of unity, a lot of love, and we even never bothered to compete in leadership, because leadership was not just by competing. It was according to one, ability to lead others, ability to give right judgment, ability to be a role model. And having said that, they knew to have their leaders to be very strong and oppressive, and those who cannot be easily removed. It has to be them to dictate behind the scenes, and they had to have their ratios, which are hidden, which are part of their secret ratios, which not many know, even up to today. So what I can assure you is that as much as we want to make a very strong Africa and united Africa, we must strategize. I thank God for somebody who said before me about having a good strategy. We must first of all agree on how we are going to do away with the foundation of these Illuminati people, because they are working behind the scenes. They are the ones who even make sure if one is not for them, he has to be killed. If they make sure, and others will even disappear. So these people are very much with us. And especially here in Kenya, we have really lost very important people. And those whom, as I've said, to be very good people, unless you know the history of what happens, you will never understand. That is why even in parliament, where they say they make laws, there is a lot of confusion and conflict and division. Why? Because there are already those who knows our leader. We have to follow our leader because of this and that. To me, the others, they are not aware what happened after their leader becomes a leader, because he has to go under those ratios before he continues. Because it's always this threat. You have to follow this channel. And even they have their secret buildings where they hold these ratios. Like here in Kenya, we know them. So whenever we have the right leadership, first and foremost, and because we know the connection from where they are, first of all, is to make sure they are not part of the citizens in the country. With that, we will wipe this foundation. With that, we will render them powerless and they get back to their place, because we have to understand the way they connect from where they came from. For example, in Kenya, the leadership is from the Queen in Britain. So having known that everything that is connected to British, it has to be abolished. Without that, we will not go far. We will still continue. And again, on the other thing is, when people are elected in parliament, they set aside some money to be given to these people, as in a way that it is like a bribe. You are given a house in the city, you are given a car, so then you can be paying in your own form, and another privileges, whereby now, after testing that, you are ready to compromise anything, never to leave politics. So we have to work out on this. And even as another colleague said, if a leader is good and is taking the condition in the right thing, there is no democracy that can make people continue in good leadership. Even God is a dictator. You either do this, and then something will befall on you. So we have to do away. The democracy is not for it was not for us. It was for them. Even after giving us independence, they can continue even frustrating us. And for those few remarks, I think I have said something that we need to work out, especially that Illuminati Foundations.
Thank you very much, Queen, for your insight. Well said. We jump now quickly for sake of time to Kifaru. Can you please tell us what you say? Before we go to Kifaru, just remind you that next week we're going to talk about entrepreneurship in agriculture and how to do commercial agriculture. It's very important that we all save the time and then join. So, Kifaru, please go ahead.
Yeah, so thank you once again. I just want to elaborate on what some of our kings and queens have been talking. You know, I just want to say there's no one way of doing, of trying to solve this problem in Africa. There might be so many solutions. Okay, so I just want to suggest that if you think you are really strong in a particular sector, it's good for you to make that sector become like the main thing for you. Okay, as long as someone else movement or the sector in which is so powerful is not contradicting your sector, there's no problem. If you believe education, it's what we need. Okay, that is just one part of the solution. Okay, you can stick to education and educate the masses as much as you want when it comes to education. There might be another sector that is entrepreneurship. Some people may believe that is the sector that is so powerful. Just allow them to do that entrepreneurship sector. We can't stop each other because most of these things we have not tasted them. We need to put all of these different opinions into test. At the end of the day, we're going to see what actually works, and we're going to implement that. And I want to talk about the politicians in Africa. For my own understanding of ACUP, we should not be worried about all these politicians, because we know these people are still, they're just messengers, or we call them governors of colonial masters. They are doing their bit. We're not trying to make them come to light. We are trying to replace them. If we, the ACUP, we can become like popular, like in most African countries. The ACUP is the most popular party. We'll not be worried about the Illuminati, because the politicians that will be ruling in those various countries, are all of ACUP, and there'll be nowhere for the Illuminati to come in. So let's not worry about what they're doing. Let's worry about what we as ACUP can do. Let's get the people mobilized. Let's try step and try to build our popularity. If we do that, if we win, we should not be worried about all these puppet leaders that are doing the bidding from the West. So I just want to say we should concentrate on ourselves and see what we can do. They're doing theirs, we're doing ours, and let's see who is going to be the bigger person at the end. Thank you.
Okay, my brother, before you go, what country are you in, and how are you willing to assist with the requirements you just put forward?
Okay, yeah. Example, okay, I'm from Cameroon, so I was talking about, but I'm not resided in Cameroon. So I want that we should register, first things first, the ACUP in Cameroon. So I talked with a guy that has been, he has a political party, they call it the African Reformation Party. It's a good friend of mine. He lives in the UK. And he told me the process. He gave me like the number. He told me, if you are serious, contact this person. And in no time, it's a little bit complicated. We're going to register a political party in Cameroon. If it's active or not, but let it be there. Let it be part of the electoral body. And from there, we start seeing how we can galvanize and rally people. To me, that president of the ACUP, if it's there first, we start doing little steps, make people trying to understand where you're there. We're not going to take out Paul Biya in 1 year. It might not happen. Let's get the people, we have to strategize. So to me, I want that we register that in Cameroon. It's already in so many countries. To me, I believe if we work as a collective, as a conglomerate, it's going to work. But if we want to be so isolated, it's just going to be the same thing. That's not different. To me, I want that ACUP should be a conglomerate of political parties with the same ideology, and that's how it's going to win.
And I hope everybody is listening to this, because this is a very important dialogue we are having. Now, I know nothing about Cameroon. You are Cameroonian. I'm Ghanaian, Sierra Leonean. Okay? So, you in Cameroon, you people will have to rule Cameroon. This is just...
Yes.
That's what ACUP is about. It's not like I'm a leader or we are all leaders here. So you will have to rule your country. You will have to advise us how you think best to go about ACUP in Cameroon. And it doesn't matter what country you are in, Zimbabwe. This is the strategy we are talking about. So now, I hope you understand that ACUP has 3 branches. The educational
please,
part.
there are hands in the air. Can we look out to the hands? And then we proceed.
There you go.
Using the normal formula.
We have people in Cameroon who you need to link up with, who are actively working, so you people can work together. So we are just here to bridge the gap. Wherever you are, Zimbabwe, Ivory Coast, everywhere, Cote d'Ivoire, we have people already. All you need to do is link up with your people, because we cannot just come to these meetings and talk, and then we go back and we'll come back next week and talk, because we can all talk all day. Let us link up with the people in your country. Contact King Kabbalah. Don't contact me. Contact King Kabbalah. He will link you up with the people, and then we move on. Go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. King Jovanis, I see your hand is up. Let me go first to King Kwado. King Kwado, please come on board. King Jovanis has at least spoken. You haven't spoken. We haven't heard about you. Just to let you know, my power is set to go off at the top of hour. My power may go off. So if that should be the case, kindly